Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, hello, Jean. I'm good. And you?
Doing good. So, welcome everyone to our community call. Today is March 25, and Federico is not available today, so it will be only me, Fortunato, and Marcos in this community call. Also, William is not available because both of them are now in France, and they are there for a couple of different events. Um, one event happened yesterday. They were on kind of organizing a hackathon, a legal hackathon, and how to use how to create a new justice systems with the help of AI and blockchain. So there it looks like it went pretty well. I hope they are back in here in the call to tell us more about the experience. So this is something that Federico usually does. I think probably the last 4 years he participates in these kinds of events in Paris. And next they have a like a conference in with the people for of the arbitration area in Paris. This will be not like a blockchain conference. It's like related to the traditional arbitration, and Federico will be part of a panel. And well, and after that we have HCC, and we are again participating and being sponsors of HCC this year. And this is one of the times of the year where the Kleros team meets. So I'm pretty excited to meet the team again, talk with Fortunato, Marcos, and everyone. Well, Marcos lives in the same city that I do, but still we, we never see each other. So
It's a different vibe to talk in a different city.
yeah, and well, we catch up with also the people integrating Kleros and share the news that we maybe cannot share on Twitter or social media, and discuss what we are working on. So it's always important for business development. And I think this year we have lots of things to talk about, right? Now with the dispute kits of V2 already launched, the V2 is still in beta. It's now going to a meta audit, so we need to have open bounties, but we already have some features of the final V2 that just went live. And also on Curate, we have Stay Curate now. I think this is will be a good opportunity to talk about that, right? Lots of DeFi teams are attending HCC, and all the agentic commerce talk. I think it will be probably be the topic of the conference. I didn't see anything yet about like the the talks, but I'm sure that it will be the main topic.
Yeah,
And
definitely. It is the topic right now in any tech field, and I would say particularly in Web3. But yeah, that's the topic right now.
yeah, I think it's interesting that it doesn't have to be like the this agentic thing. It doesn't have to be necessarily use crypto, but the crypto people are the ones that are pushing it forward, right? So it's really a different dynamic than previous times, where usually you have the technology and then you try to sell the technology because you need to find the niche where it fits, and now it's there is a need, and then the crypto people are the ones that first wrap it into something that works. So that's cool.
Yeah,
So
I think it makes sense also from a technology standpoint because with crypto you have all the permissionless approach, so
mhm.
agents find like a very good ground to operate without having to register, without having to get a credit card. They can just make transaction, they can just operate, yeah, sign smart contract, and it's a good ground for them, for agents to interact. Yeah, so it's kind of natural first step for them.
Yeah, I was showing the screen to show something, but we just heard Maldo tagging us on a Twitter post. I missed the Twitter post, but maybe I can share it later. So regarding this agent, this agentic economy, I know you have been like diving into it and learning everything about it and finding the holes that the current standards and infrastructure have. So can you share a bit about what you have been working on?
Yeah. As you may have heard from past calls, we have been working on the ERC 8004 protocol from the Ethereum Foundation. And I think that besides what we have already told, the best part of this protocol is that it is very open. So as Jean just said, like it may seems like there are some holes and things missing, but the point is that it has been designed this way to be as flexible as possible. And I say this because we did not just explore this as Kleros, just compartmentalizing ourselves, but we've been discussing with other builders, including Maldo, as Jean just mentioned. And each of us has a slightly different use case for agents that they have to complete a certain task. So this was a very smart move from the Ethereum Foundation, because they did not build a to static system. They build a system that is designed to adapt. In fact, there are still some protocols that are not fully defined by Ethereum Foundation, and it is again by design. And yeah, as Jean is showing, this is just what we are testing right now, which is for our case, it's related to reputation. So basically, if you want to interact with an agent, you have probably thousands of options, dozens of thousands of options as today, and tomorrow it will be millions. So how do you know beforehand that an agent is reliable, that an agent is can be trusted? And yeah, what Jean is in this moment showing, these two reviews, is what we have been working last week. So you know how Curate works, you know how State Curate works. So the verification stay on chain. They stay on chain and they are showed on the Curate frontend. To oversimplify, we have been thinking to a way of taking these verification and transform them into a feedback to push back into the reputation registry of the ERC 8004. Now, any of you may be wondering why doing this. So let's assume you are building a marketplace and you want to display agents in your marketplace. You also want to display verified ones, so the ones that are trusted. The one which have more trust. The let's say way of doing this would be to plug into the ERC 8004 to get the identities of the agents, and then plug into Kleros to get the verified ones. We are now pushing this verification back into the main registry from the EF, so that you can simply plug into their main registries and you will have the Kleros reviews built in. So it may sound a bit complicated, but the reason is that we are working on this to make it very easy to understand, and especially for the final users, whether it is a human or an agent, it will be way easier to interact and to spot which agents are to be trusted and how they've been verified, of course.
Great. Yeah, I'm thinking of like an analogy that anyone can understand. So let's say, I don't know if you are young enough or old enough to know what yellow pages are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Personally, I do, yeah.
okay. So let's say the ERC 804 is the main yellow pages, and we have like a separate. Usually, we have like a separate catalog that people can consult, and maybe they could look at the yellow pages and look like at the Kleros Michelin guide, let's say, and see which provider is good or not. So what you are doing at that is creating part of the catalog, basically, right? Including the content of the registry inside the main yellow pages, right? So
Exactly. These guide reviews will be, instead of being in the separate catalogs, they will be in the main yellow pages, just right under each agent.
great. And the way it works, basically, it's an agent that replicates the data. Like it what exactly does it do? Like it checks the data on chain and then it transforms it, or what does it do? I don't know if there's a way
Okay.
to say it without being like super technical.
Okay. You mean how we are bringing back this feedback to the ERC registry, ERC 8004 registry, right? So
Yes.
it is, maybe to explain it may be quite simple. An agent verifies on Curate, and we will have a dedicated bot, a dedicated smart contracts that reads Curate entries, and this bot will write reviews on the registry. This is a great question, actually, because the ERC 8004 protocol, the reputation registry by itself includes the reviews for each agent. Anyone can leave a review. But you made a great example earlier with mentioning the Michelin guide, because you know that a review from the Michelin guide is worth more than maybe my personal view of an anonymous reviewer. So if notoriously the people want to go to Michelin starred restaurant because they trust this guide. So we are building something quite similar, actually, that these reviews will be left all by the same address, the same smart contract. And in this way, people will be able to immediately see which reviews are left by Kleros and therefore which agents have been registered on Curate. And one thing that I really like about this system is that I believe it's quite fair, because uh, any agent can register on Curate. So let's say you freshly launched your agent, it's new, and you have to compete maybe with another one that has a long history of transactions, right? You would be naturally penalized, or you would have to think about a way to get more reviews. But if your agent complies by the rule, you just have to register on Curate and you will get the review. On a side note, this review, of course, is not permanent. If your agent is misbehaving, the review will be revoked. But we hope there won't be misbehaving agents. I mean, wishful thinking.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So another way of thinking about this is that since it's like an open protocol and anyone can create an interface that feeds from this information, and you have, for example, you have your own interface that we are showing here. Maldo has its interface, and you could, for example, pick which types of reviews or which providers of reviews you want to display or not display, and also or maybe feature with higher priority, lower priority, right? So you could people could do that, and I think if there continues to be like lots of spam, there will be incentives, let's say, to do that, because you don't want you want to provide like the most usable information, with most insightful information, right? So this could
Yeah,
be like
exactly.
it would compete in the market of reviewers, let's say.
Yeah, and one point that is worth to mention is that our main focus right now is, of course, we will provide reviews, but the reason why we are working a lot on this is that we are building a protocol. So to put it simple, the reviews that are coming from, let's say, the Kleros bot, the equivalent of Michelin Guide, they satisfy certain requirements. But to keep the same analogy, the Michelin Star is not the only entity providing reviews for restaurants, right? Maybe there will be someone else who wants to say, I want to provide systematic reviews, like, I don't know, maybe a sort of trust pilot, but I want to do it at my own rules. This entity could use our protocol, set their own rules, and have the same system. They will set their own rules. Agents which will request to be verified, and once they are verified, the reviews will appear on the protocol. So whatever requirement you can create, you don't have to just build a new like interface, but you can also build new rules. And by using these tools, the bot and curate, you will be able to also provide systematic reviews at your own terms.
Okay, that's interesting. So it could be. It's also, let's say, it's not only like a good source of reviews. It's also like a source for building reviews, right? So you could. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Great. And well, maybe you can talk a little bit about the rewards and what you have in mind. I don't know. Maybe next week we might not have the team call, right? So do you have something to share about it?
The next week, it will be already April, so probably you will already see the new article related to the Scout rewards, the Scout incentives. And there will be some changes also in the formulas. As we anticipated, we are rolling out some changes to have more fair distribution of the incentives. One thing that we have been working with the entire team is about the Kleros skills. So for Kleros skills, I mean 100% covering like staking, voting, curate, escrow, and so on. Of course, this is taking a bit more because we want to do it right, and we are building them alongside the documentation. We are switching to Mintlify. Maybe, I don't know if we already shared in one of the previous development update. So it will be easier in general for agents to learn how to use Kleros. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that probably the first skill to be rolled out will be dedicated for Scout. And the reason is because it's the most used registry. We have the most submitters and also jurors interacting with it. So we will probably write a dedicated article probably in the middle of April, I would say, so that it will be super easy for you, whether you want to submit your project and display on a wallet, whether you just want to earn money and get rewards. You can teach your agent how to make money by using Scout. So yeah, we are discussing with the team what kind of promotion on how to promote this. But yeah, probably I would say in the middle of April, you will see rewards inclusive also for agents.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to try it myself. I have my OpenClaw running. We'll teach it as soon as possible. And I'm very curious. I'm really wishing that we can do a team meeting dedicated to sharing skills internally. I think it will be like a great opportunity. Maybe we can come up with some ideas of another things to create with it. So yeah, ideally we should have like one skill for each product, right? And maybe more than one for
Yeah, exactly.
possible use.
We are actually discussing this, how to if to have like the granularity of the skills, because the uh, issues is that if we leave these skills too open, agents may be more keen to make mistakes. But if we put too many guardrails, then we would be limiting the possibilities of the agent. So yeah, that's why it's taking a bit longer.
Yeah, we see some projects that are being like, let's say, very experimental with their skills, and we want to make sure like everyone trying it are safe. And well, because there's also money involved, right? When you make a submission in Curate, you can lose your deposit if your bot makes an issue. It's not like might have serious consequences. So that's one of
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
reasons we didn't publish it yet. But well, if you are interested in this, please join the chat, and you will be one of the first ones to try it. And well, I have like a maybe off-topic question for you, Fortunato, since we have more time today. What was the latest interesting thing that you have used or tried with AI this last week?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I've tried so many different tools at a pace that it's hard to pick one. I've honestly been focusing a lot on this reputation bot. That's for me, it's hard to answer, because I tend to leave freedom to my agent. So instead of forcing something new, I just ask my agents to do it, to invent a new skill, or to build it on its own. But yeah, like personal use, now I cannot think of. And you, did you use something interesting in the last week with agents?
Well, I think people will see what I've been doing very soon. I created a fun video for Kleros Foresight, but I'll share a little bit later because it is still a work in progress. But yeah, just would like to know, since you're now like dedicated to using these tools and understanding how the agents trade.
Yeah, when they will take over, I hope they will take me as a friend. I'm trying to be early on that. But I would say it's not a tool that I'm currently using, but I would say the one I'm more interested in right now is related to memory and context, because right now is I think is a bit the limitations. Of course, like if you are like in this loop, in this world of AI, you are seeing tons of alternatives. I think recently Anthropic released new ways of storing memory. Google is working a lot in that sense. So yeah, I would say something related to memory would be a good skill, but I think there is a lot of noise right now, like a lot of different project testing this, but I would say memory. And something I've been testing more was free models. And this is a suggestion that I would like to give to anyone. There are some good free models that you can try and test, and they are not that bad. I mean, for small tasks, they are interesting to use. So I think a good thing there are low barriers to access using AI. Even if you have very low resources, you can get to set up an open clause setup with a free model and unlimited token and test it out. So it's quite democratic field.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to set up one of these you can set up for the heartbeats or something like that, right? For some small tasks.
Even if I tried,
consumption.
I squeezed this one. I gave it also a heavier task because I wanted to see to what extent. But I think for the reason you mentioned, for with heartbeat and crons, like I think the one that are free, they can really be stressed, like with around the clock work. They iterate and correct. They often get in loops, but yeah, they are fun right now. I think it's very fun to test with these models. Of course you feel the difference with the top ones like Opus 4.6 or Codex 4.4, 5.4. You feel the difference, but I think they are really good.
Well, thanks a lot. I need you to send me some tips about that later, maybe on the Telegram chat, so
I
anyone
will.
can access. Great. So thanks, Fortunato. We now let me see if Marcos is available.
Hey, good afternoon here in Argentina. How are you?
Doing great, Marcos. How are you doing?
How's it going? Are you already in Europe or you're still in Argentina, Jean?
Still in Argentina. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
traveling
What?
tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, directly
Yeah.
to France?
No. I'll do a stop in Rome first. That was the cheapest flight I could find. So,
Okay. Nice,
yeah.
nice. Yes, that's what we used to do. Well, for the moment, we are preparing for ECC that is going next week. I've been checking some side events that are going to be interesting. So, well, some hours of these last days were of preparing the next week. Sorry, I lost a bit my voice. But well, besides that, we have some other news. There's a very big news from Lemon that it's still not confirmed that but we are working with it. That it took like most of our time during the last week, and well, uh, we are going to be publishing it as soon as it is confirmed and we have their confirmation. But well, there's something interesting that it's going. And besides that, we had a new conversation with people from Salta, more specifically with people from customer protection, that they are interested in Kleros and well, doing a pilot. It's an alternative. We continue our conversation now. We are in the legal conversation where Facundo is helping us with a very important exchange from Switzerland. We already had like a lot of calls where they were asking us more information and things more technical about the implementation of enterprise. So well, we are in a conversation with them. Well, preparing for ECC, that is what I just mentioned. We are working with Lucia and the rest of the BD team with the help of the comms team in the marketing strategy. We're working our LinkedIn and some other social media where we are having success. And some of our next steps are a new document that is going to be published, and well, a webinar that for the moment we still didn't talk about in our media about this, but we are preparing it. And well, with Lucia, we were another thing that we were doing was reviewing or doing a document where we were kind of deciding. Yeah, we were selecting some like Kleros funds that were in contact with us during the last year, and where we saw that there was an possible integration because they were working in a specific fintech or in a specific governmental entity. So, well, we were preparing this document and we are going to start preaching this soon. But those are the main updates from the BD team.
Great. Yes. So we also had. I don't. We mentioned this last on the last call, but I think it's a good opportunity to talk about this again. So last week we had 3 cases from a city in Argentina, and they were all created on this new court that uses this dispute kit that selects only lawyers with experience in consumer protection, or lawyers from Argentina. So can you tell us a bit? And we had 3 cases, right? So we had one bank case, one case about I think from an airline, another from an e-commerce platform. And if anyone is interested, you can get the case here and see like a small recap of one of the cases. So can you tell us about what how these cases are being taken by the city in Argentina? They are using it for consultative purposes, right?
You mean, sorry, you mean the consumer, the customer defendant or Junin? Sorry.
The Junin cases that were solved in this new court.
Yeah. Okay. So the Junin cases are the jury from Junin. The problem, if you let's start from the problem, is that they have a lot of cases and maybe they don't have enough time to resolve all these cases. So they are using Kleros in a first stage where the cases are sent to Kleros. The jurors in Kleros in those cases are lawyers with some. Well, no, in these cases they don't need the experience in consumer protection. For Junin, they are just lawyers. This is one of the one of the things that the jury from Junin demanded. That they wanted just jurors. So the jurors are analyzing these cases and giving an answer, like resolving the case. And after this is reviewed by the jury of Junin, and it's in most cases is like decided in the same way or executed in the same way that it was executed before by our jurors in Kleros. So this way, it's like the resolution for the um, the jury from Junin is more efficient. So that's the way that it's working. That last week, I think they were sent, or 2 weeks ago, 3 cases were sent. Now there was a pause because there was a small issue in our court that is good to mention, because at the beginning the incentives were not sent to the jurors, but this was solved between yesterday and today. So now we are ready to receive more cases.
That's great. Yeah, well, I think we mentioned in the previous call that they were waiting for this fix to send more cases, and it will be very interesting if we see the volume on this court growing. And I think for the jurors here, they are lawyers. I think it's interesting. We saw some evidences that are very complete. We're also working on some things to improve the evidences more, or the let's say the constancy of the evidences, the justifications, let's say, right? And okay, so it's kind of a public way of consulting lawyers, right? That's how it's being used by Junin, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way that it's used. And again, it's because there's still one person that is the jury that is taking the decision, that that person don't have enough time to review all cases in detail, and that's why they are using technology, in this case Kleros, to make this process more efficient.
Awesome. Yeah, great. I think it will be a great topic for the webinar. One of the topics 100%. For the webinar, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. And about these dispute kits, this was the first cases with this new dispute kit. Well, JB just today mentioned that there are other dispute kits that we are working on with some differences. I think
Yes.
one of the things we've mentioned internally is that we can basically do 1 juror, 1 vote, right?
Exactly. Yes, because for example, for Junin, they don't need like a big quantity of jurors. They want something similar to Lemon in the beginning, that was three different jurors with three solid justifications from lawyers. That's what they want from Junin. So in this case, for this, it makes sense to have one juror, one vote, because so that we can just select three jurors, and these three jurors are different, one from each other. So yes, and for enterprise, this used to, in most cases it's useful. So it should be
Great.
replicated for other integrations.
Great. And for so let's say these jurors have the SPT that say that they are lawyers from Argentina, like verified lawyers, and there's another SPT that will be used for the uh, for the consumer defender cases that proves that they are like experts on consumer defense, right? Consumer protection.
Yeah, that's for that's for the customer defendant. For example,
Okay.
the companies that are going to be integrating this figure that is from the customer defendant.
Mhm.
For Junin in particular, this is like again something
Okay.
that they wanted. They wanted jurors to be resolving the cases, so that's why we are selecting these jurors as these lawyers. Right?
Okay.
But in this
So
case, they don't need to have experience in consumer protection. For a consumer defendant, the jurors need to show this experience in consumer protection. So they are not going to be exactly the same jurors for Junin
mhm.
than the ones that are going to be resolving cases for the customer defendant.
Okay. Great. Well, that's interesting. So, well, let's hope we get more cases for next week for the next call, which will be in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, there,
Hope that we are going to be receiving some cases. Yes, we are going to have a call with people from Junin to see how they saw these first cases, and to see, yes,
yeah.
they are
And
seeing new cases.
I think another side effect of these cases is that, let's say, we are solving a case from an airline. So the issues that we see here are the same issues that an airline receives and solves, like, right? So, and we are doing that with an e-commerce platform. So,
Yeah,
like when it is
we are
screen,
solving the cases from different industries. Yeah, exactly.
yes.
For
So then
one,
it
just
will
for
be,
one company or integration, we're resolving cases from different industries.
yeah.
So the jurors are learning from all these industries. That's true.
Yeah, and it will be easier to show to each of these industries, look, we already solved cases about the topic
Exactly.
that you need,
Yeah,
right? This
100%.
is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in some conversations, we were showing something like that when we
Mhm.
spoke with some other companies from a specific sector or industry. We show them that we have experience because of past cases with Mendoza, with Junin, and some other integrations with governmental entities.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Marcos. So
Please.
see you very soon in Cannes.
All right, thanks.
Great. So, well, I would like to show a little bit like of a couple of our posts of last week. Just to make sure we don't miss anything. So we have this video about these 3 cases. If anyone wants to review it, let me go to the Kleros profile. So recently, Maudo made a thread about the agentic economy and how they are using Kleros. It's very aligned with what Fortunato mentioned, and they implemented the escrow in their implementation too. So one thing I think we did not mention a lot, but we were a part of the Parallel Society event in Lisbon. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Alex was talking a little bit about how to use filter key on DAOs. and to, well, make the decisions in general. And I have a lot of FOMO for this event. Unfortunately, I could not attend, but had apart from having like very good vibes and talks, it also had great music. So yeah, I would not miss other Parallel Society events because of that. And it also has attracts like a very interesting audience, people interested in open source, in privacy, and let's say sovereign tools, and Kleros fits that because it's kind of a system that allows communities to govern themselves, let's say. So yeah, we had that, and what else we have? Oh, this is interesting. We were mentioned in the UK House of Lords. Someone sent a letter, let's say, or like a document analyzing stablecoins and to the UK House of Lords, and they mentioned Kleros on the parts that they talk about the arbitration systems on Web3, available on Web3. And it's interesting because the criticism that they did on this document is the same thing that we solved with these SBT courts. So it talks about, for example, having anonymous jurors that you don't know if they have conflicts of interest, and you don't know if it's the same single person voting for more than one address, and things like that. And this is something that has evolved at Kleros. So now we have, for example, the court with SBTs in Argentina, like we mentioned, and we can of course expand this to other jurisdictions. So yeah, recommend checking this out because it's like exposition of Kleros in a very nation state level. So it's interesting. We are also doing some updates on scholar, like let's say academic articles about Kleros. So let me see if I can find the video really quick. Yeah, I think it was posted earlier, but now we will be posting about every article that mentions Kleros on every paper. That's how we found this mention actually. So yeah, there were a couple last week, some also on very recognized papers or journals. There was one on Oxford University Press. Yeah, two actually. So Journal of Dispute Resolution from the Missouri School of Law. So it's a lot of material for anyone studying Kleros. And another thing, this is the event that I mentioned that Federico will be participating on. If you are in Paris, you can join the Paris Arbitration Week. So another interesting thing is that we got a mention by some very important figure in crypto. So maybe if you have been following us, you know that we launched very recently a product called Kleros Foresight. It is a tool for using prediction markets to make decisions. More specifically, using conditional markets, so you can trade different options, and the information that the market gives can help the person creating the market or the entity creating the market to execute on those decisions. So one interesting part of this is that we are starting with an experiment. We are trying to, let's say, use markets to guess which will be the rating of movies that Clement will watch. It's kind of a fun experiment, of course, but the idea is that the markets can give a better rating than any other option that you can think, and that a single expert, in this case Clement, we can extrapolate what his opinion will be using markets. So why is this useful? Because you can, for example, if you have any industry where the opinion of an expert is very expensive because it requires like special knowledge, like a very hours of learning about the topic, and well, everything that takes to be an expert, and this expert has limited time, and it has like a cost to their hours. If you create markets about what will be the opinion of the expert, then the expert doesn't need to review each option. It can he or she can review only a couple of options, and then for the options that they did not review, you can use the opinion of the markets to have like an approximation of what the expert will do. So one thing that we can do this for, like you can use the same logic, for example, to evaluate the impact and the originality of repositories and dependencies on Ethereum. So you can decide how much to dedicate from a pool of resources, how much should go to each contributor. So there's actually a live experiment related to that using Seer. This is a project where Clement is collaborating on very heavily. And in this case, Kleros is the final arbitrator, the oracle for the results. There's actually a competition for that. So with Kleros Foresight, you have basically a way of creating the interface for these decision markets. There is a lot more simple to use for an end user and for creating the markets too. And well, one of the interesting parts of this is that we got a retweet of one people that you might know. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. So here it is. So yeah, we got a retweet by Vitalik. So this is actually an idea that basically originated from Vitalik. He wrote a paper about this distilled human judgment, and Seer, as far as I know, is like the closest replication of this idea. And well, now that I think about it, there are lots of Kleros products that are ideas of Vitalik. So this is another one, and it's good to have this recognition because sometimes some of these projects are kind of niche at solving executing an idea that maybe not everyone think is important, but they have like lots of merits for other reasons, and this recognition is very valuable because of that. So if anyone is interested in learning more about Kleros Foresight, actually the experiment is going on. It will finish very closely. I think we extended the period for trading for 1 or 2 weeks. So you can participate. It's very easy to participate. You just need some XDAI and use the interface. Let me open it very quickly. So yeah, you have. So here you have 16 movies. You can connect your wallet and just select which do you think the rating of the movie that Clement will give for each movie, and then there's a part of the process where you just execute wherever you calculated, and the closest you are, basically the closest you are to the actual rating that Clement gives when he watches the movie, the more you earn. And Clement has given some already, like the rating of some of the movies he already watched. You can just read the guide here. We wrote actually 2 guides. If you want to go very deep, you also can maybe feed this to your agent and become like an expert trader on these Clement movie markets. And well, if you are registered on Proof of Humanity, you have a couple of credits to trade it, to trade here. And also, if you are in Lisbon, there will be a workshop about it this Friday. So yeah, I hope we get more people to collaborate. I think we have maybe 30 people for now. It will be great to have more people joining us in Cannes. We'll be helping people participating. I think a couple of talks will also mention it. Probably Clement's talk will be about this. And yeah, I think these are the main things that we have for this week. Thanks everyone for joining us, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.